Hello everyone, good morning to all. This is Mrs. Nagapushpam, Assistant Professor of English, Arulmigu Palaniyadar Arts College for Women. Happily welcome you all to the day 1 episode of a 3-day workshop on skills enhancement. Day 1 topic is hard skills, soft skills and life skills and overview. What are soft skills? Soft skills are the most intangible and non-technical abilities that are sought from candidates. For example, communication, problem solving, teamwork, leadership, responsibility. Soft skills are sometimes referred to as transferable skills or professional skills. As the term implies, these are skills that are less specialized, less rooted in specific occasions, and more aligned with the general disposition and personality of a candidate. Soft skills relate to your attitudes and your intuitions. As soft skills are less about your qualification and more personality driven, it is important to consider what your soft skills are and how much you evidence these soft skills before you apply for a job. Why are soft skills important means soft skills are the difference between adequate and ideal candidates. Every job role requires some interaction with others, whether they may colleagues or customers. So soft skills will be very important to most employers. Then what are hard skills? Hard skills are learned abilities that are acquired and enhanced through practice, repetition and education. Employers and recruiters most often look for these hard skills in professional resumes. Any hard skill that a person cites is best backed up with a certificate or qualification that shows the level of achievement. Hard skills or hard skills just focus on practical abilities while the soft skills focus on behaviors and personalities. So that's why the employers most often look for the job applicants of soft skills rather than hard skills. And life skills. Life skills are any skills that you need to manage the activities and the challenges of everyday life. Mastery and the development of these skills can improve all areas of your life, that is from your work to your relationships. So to know more about those topics, we have invited a resource person to talk on these topics. So I am much privileged to invite the resource person of today's program, Dr. J. Lakshmi, Assistant Professor and Head, Chief Placement Officer, University College of Engineering, Anna University, Chennai. Here, I would like to give a brief note for our resource person. She has completed her UG in 1998 at Jairaj Annapakyam College for Women. She has completed her PG in 2000 at VHNSN College. She has completed her MPhil in 2006 at Bharatidasan University, Trichy, and PhD in 2018 at Anna University, Chennai. On behalf of the PG and Research Department of English, once again I invite the resource person to this wonderful program. So, as the coordinator of this program, I invite all the participants, faculty and students from various institutions to participate in this 3-day workshop on skills enhancement. Thank you.
Respected Principal and convener of this webinar, Dr. N. Bhuvaneshwari, Arulmigu Palaniyandavar Arts College for Women, the Organizing Secretary, Mrs. P. Selvi, Associate Professor and Head, PG and Research Department of English, the moderator of this webinar, Mrs. Nagapushpam, and my dear students. First, I would like to thank Mrs. Nagapushpam for giving me this opportunity to get connected with you students. Students, I would like to welcome you for this workshop on skills enhancement. Today, we are going to discuss life skills, hard skills, and soft skills. Before we probe into the topic, let us understand the basic difference between these words, talent and skill. Gone are those days when employers were looking for candidates who were talented. Now there is a shift in the need. Employers require candidates who have the skill to learn anything. Talent is the natural ability of a person which is innate, which is inborn in a particular field. When that talent get exposed, they gain expertise in that particular field. But skill is the ability of a person to learn anything when proper time is invested and when proper training is given. So now employers, they have different requirements and they want a candidate who is flexible enough to update and raise up to the requirement of the employer. Skills are divided into three broad divisions. One is life skills, hard skills, and soft skills. What are life skills? Life skills, acquiring life skills should start at home. And life skills are skills that are required to lead a positive, successful life. I have divided life skills into two broader divisions for better understanding. Skills that are required to run our life smoothly in the domestic sphere. Like skill, say for example, skill to cook your own meal. When the mother is away from the home, the child should not stumble. The child should be equipped enough to run a day or two independently. So your ability to prepare your own meal, the skill to go to a grocery shop and purchase the a monthly requirement for a family, doing your own laundry, knowledge to use the ATM card, skill to make basic transactions in the bank, and your ability to plan your own budget, your monthly budget. So these are all basic skills that are required to run your domestic life smoothly. If you ask me, are these skills required? I can even employ a person to do all these works for me. That's fine. If you're economically sound, you can do that. But then, if you really want to be independent, you should know things. If you can afford, you can fix another person to do errands for you. But then, in the absence of that person, you should have the skill to run your domestic sphere smoothly. You should be equipped. And the skills that are required outside the domestic sphere, that is the social life. See, um, the practice to handle strangers, uh, the ability to approach people to ask for a help, and your personal and your mental well-being, your physical well-being, and definitely every individual should build strong value system and developing commitment towards your family, your workplace. These are all life skills. So the skills that are required to, uh, I mean, associate yourself with the society are called as life skills outside the domestic sphere. And again, when it comes for individual life skills, I have again divided that into two. One is your physical well-being and another is your mental well-being. Everybody will accept that a person who has a perfect balance between the both, your physical well-being and your mental well-being, can be a successful human being. For your physical well-being, it is required that you should sleep at least from 6 hours to 8 hours. I have given us 7 to 9 hours. See, is it even a point to mention in a talk like this that you should sleep? You should have enough sleep. If you ask me, yes. Nowadays, youngsters, you have developed a habit of staying awake throughout the night and you have very little sleep in the morning and you start your day. And when you start your day without proper sleep the previous night, you cannot for sure perform even a smallest task. You cannot focus. So it is required that you should have sound sleep for 6 to 8 hours. And when you start a day, your mind requires fuel for which you should have a balanced, healthy diet. So always start a day with a good, balanced breakfast. That would help you, that would provide you the energy to run the entire day, to carry out the task of one complete day. So never skip a meal. Start a day with a healthy and balanced diet and try to avoid eating a lot of junks and drinking bottled drinks. aerated drinks. So always have healthy diet. That would help you to stay healthy in the long run. At this age, your metabolism will be good, and you won't actually require exercise. It'll look so. Uh, but then please remember, in the sedentary lifestyle, you have to include some sort of exercise in your everyday activity. At least for half an hour, you should have at least a mild kind of exercise like walking or jogging, whatever it is. So if you want to stay healthy, you have to eat right and you have to include exercise in your daily routine. That's very important for your physical well-being. And you should learn to enjoy and relax. See, you can enjoy the pleasure of relaxation only if you really work in a day. If you while away your time for the entire day, you cannot relax because you won't understand the difference between relaxation and boredom. So it is required that you work properly, and after work you take a proper break and you learn to relax. Then you can enjoy the pleasure of a hobby or the pleasure of relaxation. And your mental well-being, as I've mentioned, a perfect balance between your physical well-being and mental well-being is always required to stay healthy both ways, mentally as well as physically. Let us discuss mental well-being in the third day topic under stress and time management. So I would like to just mention that when it comes for life skills, to keep yourself mentally healthy is also a biggest form of life skill. And remember, the skills that are listed under life skills may a little overlap with the skills that are listed under soft skills. This may differ according to the situation. So for being healthy, it is required that you maintain good physical as well as mental well-being. Now, the second set of skills that are expected from a candidate are hard skills. When we say hard skills, the skills that are connected to your area of expertise. I heard from the moderator that I'm addressing students of literature, and as students of literature, your hard skills will be your knowledge in literature and your knowledge in grammar. I'm sorry, your knowledge in language. So grammar will be listed under language, but then to communicate the significance of grammar, I have mentioned that separately. So your knowledge in literature, that comes first. If, say for instance, if you're students of linguistics, then your hard skills may vary. It may differ, like your language skills would come first. Okay, as literature students, you are expected to have very sound knowledge in literature. And being students of literature, you are expected to possess good language skills. By language skills, what I mean is you are expected to be very fluent in the language. You cannot say that, sir, I have a degree in literature, I'm a BA lit grad, but then I cannot speak the language well. I'm not fluent in the language. Not say that, and that it won't sound convincing. So as students of English literature, you should take pains and invest time in learning, developing your fluency in the language. See, I have a few tips to share with you to develop fluent English. Get a lot of media exposure to English webs. Try to watch a lot of English movies, and I would suggest you to watch music channels where the conversation takes place in English. Like you can learn English expressions from such programs. And please do practice. Remember, this is a skill. Any skill should be practiced. Without practice, with just text knowledge, you cannot acquire any skill for that matter. So if you want to acquire fluency in the language, you have to practice it. Try and practice. Start your practicing with your peer group, with your friends, your classmates, your college mates, and maybe friends at your, near your home. Make it a point when you talk to your teacher, speak in English. And it is very essential that you have very clear knowledge in grammar. talk to your teachers, ask them to conduct courses or classes on grammar and learn grammar, learn basic grammar. See, there is a school of thought. You can communicate in English without knowing any basic rules of grammar. Yes, that is possible, but that is not okay for students like you because you are experts in the field. So as experts in the field, you're expected to know the language systematically. You should know the language properly. If you want to do that, you should have enough grammatical knowledge. Okay, so when I say grammar, there are certain areas which you should know for sure. You should know parts of speech clearly, tenses, subject verb agreement, punctuations, and spelling rules. See, these 5 topics are mandate for any literature student. And if you're a student of linguistics, it will be different. You should know A to Z of grammar because you claim to be an expert in the language. All right, but then you don't have an excuse. You cannot say that, see, I'm a literature student and I need not know grammar. You should know at least all the 5 topics I have just mentioned. Fine. So if you have in these 5 topics, you can avoid 90% of your grammatical errors. And when I say you should possess good knowledge in grammar, I need to say that it is not just the grammar that is practiced. You should also know the rules constructed behind it. So please invest time to improve your English as well as learn the structure of the language properly. And as students of literature, again, you are expected to have decent vocabulary. To build your vocabulary, what you can do is you can adopt various methods. There are a lot of methodologies available. You can talk to your teachers and pick up one which suits you well. But I can suggest you a few. I call it cluster learning. Cluster learning is try and select one particular area, have one word, and having that one word as base, try to build vocabulary like a tree. Say, for example, if you take cooking as one word, you can learn words related to cooking, like blanch, saute, fry, shallow fry, marinate, caramel, nouns, verbs. You understand? So you can cluster words in a group so that you remember it. It is a technique to remember words. And remember, when you try to acquire vocabulary, you have to make it a point that you include those words in your active vocabulary. If you don't use the words which you have learned, for sure, in the long run, you'll forget those words. You tend to forget those words. So it is required to acquire decent vocabulary, and you should know basic grammar, and you should work on the fluency of your language. So these are your hard skills which you would be expected when you try to step into your career. I have given you a few examples. What happens if you don't know grammar? And punctuations, that is the, without punctuation, you can distort the meaning of a sentence. I've given you a sentence, for example. When you don't punctuate it properly, the sentence becomes highly ambiguous. So please learn proper punctuation and the rules behind it. And as students of literature, you are expected to know the nuances of the language, the nuances of the grammar of the language. See, invest in your language skills. As I've told you, your knowledge in literature as well as your knowledge in English language they both are mandatory. It is for sure, as a literature student, you should possess. I would suggest you to learn a few more languages, maybe some national language, regional language, and one more foreign language. See, when the number of languages you know increases, your profile, your job profile becomes, your resume becomes very strong. You'll become more desirable in the job market. All right. So this is the focus of the day, soft skills. Soft skills is an umbrella term under which lots of skills are listed. And as I've told you, life skills and soft skills, they always overlap a little. Based on the requirement, it will be listed either under soft skills or under life skills. The skills that I have discussed here in this webinar are all there in the list, but then please remember the list is not an exhaustive list. it keeps growing, and I want you to take pains to keep yourself updated in soft skills. I have made it a point that I discuss all the major skills that are listed under soft skills. For better understanding, I have divided those skills into two broad divisions. One under people skills, another under social skills. See, when we say people skills, it starts with your emotional intelligence. You must have heard this abbreviation IQ. That is a very popular abbreviation, and you know IQ is intelligent quotients. And you must have, some of you must have heard EQ also. It is emotional quotients. And emotional intelligence is your ability to express your emotions as well as your ability to understand the emotions expressed by the people around you. Okay, see, your ability to sympathize and empathize. You know the difference between sympathy and empathy. When a person is in pain, when you feel sorry for the person, it is sympathy. When you are able, when you have the capability to understand the intensity of the pain experienced by the other person, then it becomes empathy. We call it this way: put yourself in the other person's shoes. We put it this way, like that. When you're able to understand the intensity of the pain the other person is undergoing, all right, and that becomes empathy. So your ability to empathize others' emotions is your emotional intelligence, and that plays a very big role when it comes for people skills. Remember, people skills are skills that would help you to harmonize yourself with the people around you. So if you want to harmonize yourself with the society, with the people around you, then you should have the capability to understand others. When I say understand, emotion plays a big role in understanding the other person. And the communication skills, the list that I mentioned earlier, the list keeps growing, the list keeps changing. Yes, yeah, but then there are certain skills which cannot be replaced. Communication skills always tops the list. And when I say communication skills, I request you not to reduce it to just language skills. Communication skills itself is an umbrella term under which a lot of sub skills are listed. When I say communication skills, of course, your ability to talk plays a big role. But then researchers say that when you try to communicate a message, only 20% of your communication is done verbally. The remaining 80% of your message is communicated non-verbally. When I say non-verbally, I hope you understand without words. How can you communicate without words? If you ask me this question, I would say that you can communicate through your body language. See, the way you stand, the way you look, the way you maintain eye contact with the other person, okay, your gestures, your posture, your sitting position, and the way you appear, the dress you wear, everything communicates a lot about you and your message that is being communicated. So please remember, when we say communication skills, it is not just a language, it is more than the language. So please take pains to observe your body language and try to take proper training to enhance your body language into positive body language. Very simple. When you face audience, when you sit for an interview, when you talk to a person, maintain a proper posture. Don't hunch. Try to maintain eye contact with the other person. Only when you maintain eye contact with the other person, you can build a trust between you and your receiver. You're the communicator, and there is another person who listens. He is a receiver. If you want to communicate your message successfully, it is required that you build trust between both of you, between you. All right. So if you want to build trust, it is very much required that you look at into the person's eyes and you talk. You have to maintain eye contact, and you have to be cheerful, energetic. It all plays a big, huge role in your communication. Positive self-image. Remember, what do you think about yourself inside? That will be projected to your outer world. So you're the first person who's going to say that, see, this person is this. Say, for example, I am Lakshmi. So I am the first person who's going to say that Dr. Lakshmi is this. So what I think about myself inside, that will be communicated strongly to the outer world. It is very much required you build a very positive self-image. You should have self-respect. You should build self-worth so that you radiate that outside and you get that from the outside world. And attitude. When we speak of attitude, I would say attitude in very simple terms. Attitude is the I image you carry. See, I, that image you carry, that is your attitude. See, when your I image goes a little higher, then it becomes arrogance. So you have to be very careful. Attitude is a tightrope walk. You have to handle that, you have to maintain that in the right proportion. When it goes slightly down, then your self-worth goes down, your self-respect goes down, your positive self-image goes down. All right, so please take pains, be conscious that you maintain your attitude at the right level. So when we talk about attitude, I would like to give Cleopatra as an example. Cleopatra is considered to be the most beautiful woman in the history in literature. See, when women and beauty is spoken, not only women, when beauty is spoken, it is always connected with the appearance of a person. If it is just appearance, definitely Cleopatra was in her middle age when she fell for Antony, when Antony fell for Cleopatra. Then the question arises: how do you expect? How do you say that a middle-aged woman is very beautiful? She was, her beauty was eternal. Maybe the beauty about Cleopatra is not her outer appearance, but the attitude she carried about herself. So your attitude will have a enormous impact on your appearance, I believe. So please learn to develop the right attitude about yourself. Time and stress management. This particular topic we have decided to discuss in detail on the third day of this webinar. So I have listed that under people skills. We'll discuss that in detail later. Lateral thinking. What is lateral thinking? Lateral thinking is thinking out of the box, thinking away from the conventional ways, conventional method. I can give you a poem as an example. The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost is a beautiful poem. It's a fantastic example for lateral thinking. See, when you travel in the trodden path, when you traveled in the already traveled path, that is a conventional way of thinking. When you want to try something unconventional outside the box, then take the road not taken. Take the untrodden path, and that is lateral thinking. So lateral thinking can create a huge, big revolution in the business world. So people require candidates who can think laterally, who can come up with very creative new ideas. Handling humiliation, this could be listed in the top when it comes for life skills. As I've told you, it will overlap in both soft skills and life skills. Handling humiliation is a very essential part of any human being's life. See, as a human being, we have certain limitations in our life. You are prone for humiliation. You are prone to humiliation. So it's definitely an inevitable part of any and every human being. So we should develop the art of handling humiliation. Empathy, we have discussed empathy in detail. So trust. So trust is directly connected to the values you build, your ethical values. It is important you build trust with people around you. Let it be both the domestic sphere and the social sphere. It is important you build trust with the people who are around you. Without trust, you cannot make any meaningful relationship. Okay, even in your career, even in your office, say for example, you're working in a team, it is required that you build trust, and the trust you have built will reflect in the outcome, in the output of any task. And happiness is a very big life skill as well as a soft skill. Remember, we should learn to count our blessings. We have lots of reasons to stay happy. Even in this pandemic, remember, you're so gifted. Your teachers are taking so much pains to take knowledge to your doorstep. So we have plenty of reasons to stay happy. To stay happy, to count our blessings is a very big skill, I believe. All right. The next, the next major division is social skills. Skills that are required to harmonize with the society. I would like to start with social intelligence. What I mean by social intelligence is your ability to put yourself in a larger framework. Remember, you're not an isolated individual. You're a part of a bigger framework called society. You're a small part in that. So it is required that as a small part of the larger framework, you have to keep yourself connected with the remaining part. To get connected, to keep yourself connected with the remaining part of the society, you require certain sensibility, certain understanding, certain common sense. So all those things will be listed under social intelligence. Remember, as you, the other human beings around you also have all rights. They also share the responsibility. They also have all the rights to be in the society. So understanding your part and understanding that others also have a part in the society is your social intelligence. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a huge shift in the work style. Okay, now almost all the works are done in teams. Previously, when I was a student, I've seen my teachers who come to class, they handle class and they leave. And I've seen my teachers handling classes. That was their prime focus. Now, even teachers are expected to take multiple roles. Like, say, for example, take this webinar, for example. This webinar is again a collective effort. It is a teamwork, right from your principal to your coordinator, Mrs. Nagapushpam. All of them, and myself, your speaker, all of us, we have come together, we have collaborated all our skills to get an outcome like this. So today's requirement is teamwork. To be active or effective in a team, you require social skills. You should have the ability to attach yourself, coordinate yourself with a teammate, fellow teammate, and work towards the common interest of the team. You should have a common focus, and you should have the ability to work towards your common focus. The next skill is responsibility. And remember, that is a very big skill. Understand that every individual in a team and every individual in a family, let it be your domestic sphere or your social sphere, every individual will have his or her own responsibility in the bigger framework. In a domestic sphere, don't think that it is the mother's responsibility to see that the family runs smoothly. It is the father's responsibility to see that everything is done on time. No, each and every member of the family should share the responsibility. Okay, so when responsibilities are shared, the larger focus of the family will be achieved very easily. Similarly, in the social sphere, when every individual in a team shares the responsibility, the achieving the success will be ensured for sure. Okay, leadership. Again, leadership is a kind of rare trait. It is not expected from every individual and any individual. And if you don't have leadership traits, don't think that you're not worthy. Remember, how much a leader is important, that much a team player is also important. Without a team player, we cannot even have a leader. There won't be a requirement to have a leader. But if you're a leader, if you have that leadership trait, remember, you should have the ability to empathize your team players. As I told you, when you try to build bond within people, among people, you should have the ability to build trust. And if you have to build trust, if you want to build trust, empathy is the most required skill. So to be a leader, you should have empathy towards your team, towards your team players. And when there is a problem, you should be the first person to get down to resolve the problem. And when you succeed, you should have the gratitude and you should have the heart to share your success with every member of your team. So these are all some important traits of a leader, good leader. Being proactive. Remember, now, as I'm repeatedly mentioning, the scenario has changed. When it comes for your career, the scene has changed. Previously, it is enough if you react properly. Now, people are expecting you to be proactive. What is proactive? Proactive is anticipating something and being prepared well in advance. To give an example, maybe if there are students who are in the final year, you have to be proactive. By now, you must have decided what is going to be your next step. Either you're going to pursue your higher education or you're going to take your first step in your career. Right now, you must have decided and you must have started taking initiatives towards that dimension. You cannot wait until the finish of your final exams and then you can think and then you can react. No, that is not advisable. You have to be proactive. Expect things and prepare yourself very well in advance. That is being proactive. What is problem solving? See, when you have a crisis, all right, when you have a crisis, don't harbor on, so who committed this, who's the reason behind it. See, he's always like this, she always does things like this. Don't do that. Don't judge. Don't do too much of research about who did this actually. That is not required. Better you put your focus on how to come out of the crisis, how to solve the problem. So always try to be a solution seeker than analyzing or researching, talking too much about the problem itself. All right. The next skill when it comes for social skills is your persuasion. Persuasion. What is persuasion? Your ability to convince the other person is called as persuasion. Do I require the skill if you ask me? See, we call it job market. Okay. See, when you say the word market, it is required, it is understood that something is marketed, something is being marketed there. If you want to market something, you have to convince the other person. Okay, so as a teacher, I have to market my skills. I have to persuade you. I have to convince you that, see, students, I really have something worthy to share with you that you can use in your career. You can invest in your career. So I have to convince you to make you sit and attend this webinar. You understand? So persuasive skills are required in every field. Negotiation, the ability to talk, discuss, and win. That is negotiation. And as I've told you, see, we are in a scenario, we are in a place where everything should be negotiated. Okay, even in your domestic sphere, if you want something, you have to convince your parents. To convince, you have to carry out a negotiation. You have to say, see, I want this because these are all the positive points behind my requirement. You have to negotiate with your parents. You understand? So all the skills I have listed under social skills, like social intelligence, your ability to work in a team, being responsible, your ability to be a good leader, be proactive, your ability to solve problems, persuasion, negotiation are all very required skills under social skills. See, to make yourself a desirable candidate for the job market, it is required. See, your textual knowledge, your knowledge of the text, it's not just enough. Something more is expected from a candidate in the recent days. All right. So what are all those skills that we have seen in detail? To improve these skills, to improve your people skills, to improve your social skills, you have to, you can undergo proper training, you can take proper training, and of course you have lots of lectures available in the YouTube by lead trainers. You can listen, and as I've told you, remember the market is volatile, so there are a lot of requirements that are coming up every day. Keep yourself updated, try to upskill if you want to build a successful career. And I wish you all the best. Thank you for your time. Thank you, students.